Bring in show music, please.
Hi, I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on Squawk Pod, the day after Christmas edition.
The news is negative because the guys who write it are mad about having to come in.
We're here working today on this holiday shortened week. A year-end happiness check-in with How to Build a Life columnist Arthur Brooks.
The government can't bring you happiness. It can't. What it can do is eliminate sources of unhappiness.
And what consumers are worried about this holiday season with retail expert Michael Zakkour.
I think a lot of aspirational luxury buyers have dropped out of the market. It's harder to justify I saved up for a $3,500 purse that this season is $6,500 and you didn't improve the value.
Plus, our pinch hitters, Steve Liesman, Leslie Picker, and Contessa Brewer on today's news, like medals on the move, and one lucky Poweball player in Arkansas.
Lottery is a tax on people who are bad at math.
You can't win if you don't play.
It is Friday, December 26th. Squawk Pod begins right now.
You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC. I'm Steve Liesman along with Leslie Picker, and now we've been joined by Contessa Brewer, Joe, Becky, and Andrew. Well, they're smarter than all three of us. They are off today. Among today's top stories, President Trump says the U.S. launched an airstrike against Islamic State forces in Nigeria, who he said have been targeting and killing Christians. A spokesperson for Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the strikes were carried out as part of an ongoing security cooperation with the United States. Tens of thousands of people, meanwhile, still without power in California following days of rain and flooding. Malibu is under a flood watch until this afternoon. A powerful storm that hit California yesterday prompted mud flows, evacuation warnings, and high surf advisories. The National Weather Service says the San Francisco Bay Area could see 25-foot waves today. And the New York City area, meanwhile, on the other coast, under a winter storm warning from this afternoon through tomorrow afternoon, with between 5 and 9 inches of snow expected. If you're looking to get out of town, FlightAware says nearly 500 flights have been canceled in the U.S. with thousands of delays. And that's the news after the great holiday we all had. I mean, can we go back and rewrite that stuff and say somebody helped somebody else and somebody did a good deed and there was a charity thing or so? I mean, somebody smile.
I just think about the lottery winner, the $1.8 billion.
The lottery winner, $1.8 billion in Arkansas.
What better Christmas gift is there?
Yeah, but you know how our guys would write it? They say it wasn't me.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I was getting ready to say, too. I played.
You were going to say that, too.
Yeah, I played in New York, I played in New Jersey, and I played in Florida, and I didn't win in any of those states. So, but I did.
Is that a strategy to go across a multi-state lottery strategy?
Yeah, that's how I do it now. Like, I'm just going to spend $400 on a plane ticket to Florida in hopes that I win the $1.8 billion. Didn't work out for me this time.
If there's anyone who knows anything about betting,
that's right.
It's Contessa Brewer.
And gambling. But listen, when you look at this is part of what is driving the profits for lottery companies now, like Jackpocket, which is now owned by DraftKings. It's the place where you can go and buy your ticket online, your lottery ticket in many states. And the big jackpots drive bigger and bigger profits.
Which makes no sense because you realize lottery is a tax on people who are bad at math.
It's also
statistics.
Right.
But the thing is, you can't win if you don't play, right? Remember when they used to have that as the slogan on the jackpot? So if you're not playing at all, if you're not going to win. But if you play $10, you're probably not going to win.
I'm getting phrases in my ear. The dollar in a dream, according to Contino, and in it to win it is what he's saying. So he's the other side of this.
Right.
It's about hope, giving people something to hope. I feel like this is a good Hallmark movie.
It's pathetic.
Playing.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win.
In my Hallmark movie.
No, you're not going to win.
In my Hallmark movie.
I think the news is negative because the guys who write it are mad about having to come in. I think there's a subjective tinge to the news today.
Or it could just be that if it's all good news, that's not really news. If everything's working the way it's supposed to, that's not news.
I am going to challenge the guys in the back to come up with some. There was a nice piece about a guy, was it the Journal yesterday, who gave away a bunch of money?
$240 million.
Yeah, that's a nice piece.
That was a great piece.
And why aren't more companies doing that?
Well, this is like a big effort by KKR, actually. Their head of private equity is really big into employee ownership and giving employees a stake in a company and getting
And
the
then
upside. If
when you sell it, you get some.
Yeah.
So you had some good news.
Yeah.
A little scratch beneath the surface, and there it is.
Yeah. It's
We're
not
going to
just
get it
about
out
the
of
lotto.
everybody. That's the challenge today.
All right, well, let's
Find
see how
some good
people
news.
who are invested in the market are doing
Market's
this
good
morning.
news.
We'll check on the futures at this hour.
No, not good
Implied
news.
open lower. Yeah, it was up at a record, at least for the S&P on Wednesday. Thin trading, of course, this morning. The Dow implied to open down about 100 points. So we'll see if that holds into the open. Treasuries pretty stable this morning in this, again, shortened trading week, limited liquidity. You can see the 10-year is sitting around 4.13. The 30-year a little higher. Those yields at 4.799. Oil, pretty big story this morning given all the geopolitical news we've seen, but WTI up about 0.2%, down about 16% over the past year. Gold and precious metals, that has been just the gift that's
Good
keeps on
news if
giving.
you own that stuff.
That has been a glittering trade right there, up 71% over the past year, up another 0.8% this morning. Silver up 3.75% and up 145% over the last year or so. Let's take a look at Bitcoin.
Bad
The
news.
final 4 trading days of the year. That's down about 7% over the last year, up 0.8% this morning. So, not the best year for Bitcoin, but up a little today.
And let's take a look at some of the morning's movers while we're at it. We're starting off with a look at the chip makers. You've got Micron and SanDisk, both up about 2% in the early trade, getting a boost from news over the holiday that Samsung and SK Hynix are reportedly raising the price of their HBM3E chip deliveries by 20% in 2026. AI chip demand is increasing, and of course, you've got NVIDIA getting approval to sell its H200 chips in China. Micron is up 246% this year. SanDisk up 613%. I mean, that's a pretty notable mover. Let's get to shares of AST Space Mobile around 1% after successful launch of its Bluebird 6 satellite, meant to deliver high-speed 4G and 5G space-based broadband directly to smartphones. The company plans to launch up to 60 satellites by the end of 2026, and those shares up 276%.
Is that a competitor to Starlink? Is that what that's going to be?
That's a very interesting question. You know who would be able to answer
Morgan
that?
Brennan.
Let's ask her. And finally, a check on metals here, all moving positive pre-market with gold, silver, and platinum jumping to all-time highs. Investors are really focused on, as Leslie mentioned, the geopolitical tensions, the speculative bets, and the expectations for more Fed rate cuts next year. You've got gold up more than 70% this year, silver up more than 150%. And this morning, look at copper on a tear, 2.5% higher. Silver COMEX is up by 3.5%. Miners like Newmont, First Majestic, Core Mining, and Hecla Mining all moving up, along with the precious metals as well.
Time now for today's Aflac trivia question. On this day in 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed a bill making what holiday fall on an official day? The answer? Thanksgiving. The bill required the holiday to always fall on the fourth Thursday in November.
And that is significant because it determines the length of the holiday shopping season. And I can tell you, as a person who gathers data on holiday shopping and tries to seasonally adjust it, it is a nightmare. We can talk about that in a minute, but 30%.
Should they have made it like a specific day?
But the President Roosevelt didn't know about Cyber Monday potentially landing on December 1st. And then my asking perplexity, what is the percentage probability that the 4 important shopping days, Black Friday through, are in December? And it's 70% of the time they're in November.
Right.
And we have been through 2 years with the 30% of the time when some or all of those 4 days have been in December.
Which also means fewer shopping days before Christmas.
Thank you so much,
Right.
Contessa. The holiday shopping rush is over for the most part. Consumers will now look to spend their gift card, return unwanted items, and hunt for year-end discounts. Joining us, Michael Zakkour. Did I say that correctly, Michael? Thank you. 5 new digital founder and author of The New Retail. All right. Can we talk about this calendar thing? Did it matter at all this year, in your opinion?
Yeah, it did matter. It jumped out at me immediately in the summer, when I'm planning my holiday rituals and what I'm doing for my own shopping and working with my clients. I said, oh my God, we're only going to have I think it was 27 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so it was short. But consumers proved to be incredibly resilient, even in a shortened season. People want to ask you, hey, how'd it go? Who's the winners? Who's the losers? The value retailers have done very well, Walmart, dollar stores. And I think that's because people had less money to spend and they wanted to spend it in fewer places and they had a shorter amount of time to do it.
What were the things that jumped to the front of the pack here in terms of what people were buying and how they were dealing with this idea of limited budgets?
Yeah, electronics were the clear winner. So we think gaming consoles, new phones, new laptops, and that created a mini boom for the retailers and the brands and the technology companies who are inserting their stuff into those devices. So if you see ChatGPT, downloads are through the roof because I got a new phone. So I think electronics, also apparel, casual apparel, a lot of pajamas, a lot of cargo pants, and a lot of graphic tees.
Cargo pants.
Yeah. It's almost like we're now this is pandemic 2.0 where everybody's like living in the comfort gear.
I'm not supposed to say this, but there was a lot of talk about Victoria's Secrets doing really well. Didn't they have a report out last week?
Why can't you say that?
Well, it's sort of your department, not mine.
Yeah, I didn't see how they.
You didn't see that? Okay.
No, but if we look at the retail stocks who are doing well right now, it's reflective of the season. So dollar stores are up, Walmart's up, the TGX stores are up. It's all that discounting.
I had a couple guests on Worldwide Exchange this morning who were talking about this idea that the K-shaped economy continues in 2026, that the affluent customers are still confident in the economy and spending like the economy is booming, and budget-minded people are not. What are you seeing?
So our research internally showed that over the course of 2025, about 80% of consumer spending was spent by the top 20% of earners. So that is a reality. It's the way the season's gone. And again, I think that's why, the discount retailers did really well this year.
Is 2026 going to be then a year for luxury retailers?
It could be a year for a comeback for luxury retailers. Luxury had a little bit of a rough 2025, again, because of inflation globally. I think a lot of aspirational luxury buyers have dropped out of the market. It's harder to justify I saved up for a $3,500 purse that this season is $6,500 and you didn't improve the value. You didn't tell me I'm getting something more than I did last year. So on the luxury end, we're seeing the ultra high luxury companies, Hermes, the big stuff, they're doing really well, but the aspirational bottom is pretty much fallen out.
What, Tiffany, LVMH, that kind of level?
They're at the highest level. Even within those companies, it's the highest price products, right? The ultra. So the $500,000 watch, the $250,000 pair of earrings, those are moving really well. That, lowish to mid-level luxury, it's really hurting right now. So it should be a comeback year.
I'm not sure that we get the best read on the K-shaped economy through Christmas. My theory is that people, they do as much as they possibly can to extend themselves and to buy things for their loved ones. It's after the Christmas season that we might see this come more into focus, the idea that there are these two really different things going on right now in terms of stagnant incomes and some concerns about jobs, and then the affluent who are reaping the gains, I think, of a stock market that's doing very well. So give us your outlook for 2026 in this report.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's going to be a little bit of a holiday hangover, Steve, like you put there. People are going to wake up in the morning and say, oh my God, look at my credit card bill and my buy now, pay later bills. Overall, though, I think 2026, we're going to see a fairly strong retail economy. Consumers are continuing to spend. They're obviously shifting to essentials and shifting away from the things that they don't need. They're really focusing on home, right? What are we going to get for clothes, food? The reality is going to be that inflation is still going to be up when we wake up tomorrow morning, and budgets are still going to be constrained. And that's why I'm still putting my bets on the budget and dollar retailers.
When I look at the macro situation with the consumer, I see a sort of bifurcation here. On the one hand, unemployment is relatively low. The balance sheets are in good shape. On the other hand, and by the way, in addition to that, you have these refunds coming through next year that could be very helpful. And then sort of countering that are the lousy sentiment numbers. Which ones win out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this season, to your point, Steve, it's kind of been a little Dickensian. But, in the way of it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, right? So we're all feeling really good about spending in the holiday. But then we're going to wake up in January and February. So,
with the whole affordability and sentiment kind of dynamic that we're seeing in the backdrop here, are retailers responding with deeper discounts and more promotions? Is that kind of the natural reaction, or are they just expecting consumers to do the trade down dynamic that you were mentioning earlier?
No, this season was highly promotional and very much dependent on discounts to draw people in. That's going to tail off now as we get into the new year, but it was very promotional. And still, what worries me is we haven't seen the inflation adjusted numbers yet. So, yeah, it looks great on paper. The NRF says we went up 4.2%. That's true. But we haven't accounted for, the underlying numbers.
We didn't talk about tariffs at all, Michael. Was that a factor at all?
It's a huge factor. So we got very lucky this holiday season in that a lot of smart retailers did bring in enough inventory to cover the holiday season so that the tariffs were not a major factor. They were a factor, but not a major factor. But now we're seeing that inventory has run out, right? And actually, some of the discount stores like Marshall's, they had great prices and great selection this year because all these retailers brought in so much stock over the summer. Then they had too much. They liquidated it, and that's good for the TJ Maxx shopper.
There was a report, I'm looking it up now, that Americans imported $362 million of Christmas tree lights and paid $18 million in custom duties on that. Over the period of $320 million in custom duties for other aspects. I mean, there was big numbers that were paid on some of the just decorating for Christmas was expensive in that regard.
Yeah, roughly 98% of all Christmas holiday decorations are made in China. So the China tariffs were going to have an effect on the holiday season. We saw it in Halloween as well. I did some retail safari work around Halloween, and I was finding, things that were 50, 60, 80% more expensive than they were a year before. Now, as we head into January, all of that pre-tariff inventory is gone. So you have a potential to see prices really jump in the first quarter of the coming year.
Fascinating.
Michael, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate that.
Cheese will be next.
Coming up on Squawk Pod, finding joy in the world this holiday season. Happiness guru Arthur Brooks on giving what really matters.
What gives more satisfaction? Throwing dollars out of a helicopter, $100 here, $100 there, or turn the whole dial on one person?
Welcome back to Squawk Pod from CNBC. It's a holiday week, and for many of us, that means more family, more socializing, more giving, and more gratitude. Our Becky Quick and Andrew Ross Sorkin sat down with a Squawk Box guest who's made it his mission to study how those things, gratitude, giving, and family, can make us happier as humans.
Our next guest is here with a holiday survival guide. Joining us right now is Harvard professor Arthur Brooks. He hosts Office Hours, that podcast. It's new and it's awesome. Also, of course, a columnist with The Atlantic. But what we want to talk about this morning is money and happiness. The very idea of, can you buy happiness?
Right.
And how we should all feel right now when everyone talks about affordability.
Right.
And how unaffordable things are. Is that make you unhappy? I would imagine it does.
Yes.
How do you think about this?
So when we're talking about affordability and inflation, it's not about happiness. It really is about unhappiness. The government can't bring you happiness. It can't. What it can do is eliminate sources of unhappiness, and it can bring you a lot of unhappiness. The number one source of unhappiness that governments typically bring to citizens is not actually maintaining a stable price level, because it chips away at the purchasing power of people, and they hate it. It's a tax. It's a tyranny. It's bad policy, and everybody knows it. So when politicians say, it's not that bad, it just enrages people, and quite justifiably so. That's job number one. If you look at the top three reasons why people didn't vote for Kamala Harris, which was really about Joe Biden, it was number one, inflation. It was only number 2 was immigration, number 3 was social policy or social issues. So that's the thing to keep in mind.
Okay, so how are they doing then on that front?
The problem is that it's kind of stuck, and it doesn't actually do good for anybody to say that it's not a problem. The government means it's hard. It's hard policy because I was trained as an economist, and I know it's a hard problem. But when it looks like you're actually not paying attention to it, that creates rage, and that's a big problem politically. But for people who are not really troubled by that, people who are above that basic level of just eliminating happiness, a lot of people watching this show, that is actually a pretty interesting science as well. Because it turns out we know how to buy happiness, and almost everybody's doing it wrong.
Okay, tell me. I want to know.
What's the secret? What are we
If you have some money,
if you've got some
buy a modicum of happiness?
You can, because there's 5 things that you can do. Mother Nature wants you to do one thing, and your impulses tell you to do the one thing that won't buy happiness, which is getting stuff. So people get a little bit above, the parapet. They're starting to make a little bit more money. They get a second watch, whatever it is, a nicer car, et cetera, et cetera. And then you get into this hedonic adaptation where it's like more.
Keeping up with the Joneses, but even
and
on
stuff
steroids.
won't do it. Yeah. Stuff won't do it. We all know that. The new car smell fades. We adapt. That's what we do to stuff. But there's 4 other things that you can do, and they all buy happiness.
Okay,
Number 1 is buying experiences with people you love. Mm-hmm. So that's why a vacation with people you love. That's why if you're going to get a beach house, not for the house, buy the beach house as an attraction, as a magnet for the people that you love to spend time with them. That's why an expensive vacation to Disney, for example, is really, really great and meaningful and wonderful if you're with the people that you love and you're making memories. That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is buying time. And buying time means paying other people to do things so that you have more free time, to cut your yard, to clean your house, whatever it happens to be. But you got to spend your time doing something personally edifying or with people that you love. Scrolling social media doesn't count. Watching TV doesn't count. Don't waste the time that you're buying. Be super propulsive about it. That will buy happiness.
Okay. But by the way, there's some people I know that actually love to garden.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so you need to spend your time because that's actually very productive leisure.
Okay.
If you're doing something that creates value that you love, you should absolutely do that.
Some people who do gardening do it by themselves.
Yeah, that's
okay?
edifying. That's like praying for them. That's
you could run,
a meditative
you could do meditation,
activity.
You could do anything, any activity.
For sure.
I'm waiting for number 3. I'm assuming one of these is going to be to give away.
Yeah, that's number 3. Number 3 is giving your money away, but you have to give it to things that you love. A lot of people who are very rich, they don't like philanthropy because they don't have very much interest in the things that they're expected to give money to. You live in Omaha, and you have to join the board of the Omaha something hospital because that's what, and to be a member, a functioning member of society.
Interesting you use Omaha because all the things you're talking about are things that I think Warren Buffett figured out.
Yeah,
and
that's right. Well, he
kind of
actually
lives a modest life, doesn't spend.
And he gave his money to Bill Gates.
Yeah,
because Bill Gates is super good at philanthropy, and he's like, I'm not good at this. I'm good at investing. Philanthropy is not my thing. I'm going to give it to the expert in philanthropy, and that gave him more joy. You got to find something you're really, really passionate about. My wife and I, Esther and I, are very passionate about Catholic education.
Right.
Catholic education. We give almost all of our philanthropy, which is 10% of our money.
Okay.
After
Tithe.
taxes.
You tithe.
We tithe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I asked my dad that, by the way.
Yeah,
Very
are you
religious
supposed to
guy.
tithe 10% before or after
That's what I
taxes?
asked my dad, because my dad was always a serious tither. Dad, he has a PhD in biostat, so he was a very sophisticated guy. I said, do you tithe before or after taxes? And he said, before. I said, what?
Yeah.
I'm an economist. After, Dad. Why? And he said, just in case.
Just in case. Okay,
Because God's watching.
I have one other related giving question. So you give to Catholic charities.
I give yeah.
Do you feel bad when people come to you and ask you for money that are outside of the charities that you care most about? Do you give a little bit just to sort of be in that community or not, or whatever it is?
Depends on the person. I give to people.
Or do you say,
Can I have some money?
I know some people who are very good about saying no, and they say, I'm all in on this one thing, and that's what our family does. We don't do anything else.
Right.
And they feel very good about sort of having these walls. And then I know other people who have something that they care about, but then they end up getting called by 12 other friends and this and that, and the people in their community, and they feel that they have to give.
Right.
But I don't think those people love giving.
They don't love
in those
giving.
contexts.
You gotta. So I will give to things that I'm not super passionate about to actually pal up with people I love. People I really care about.
So to pal up.
Yeah, that's a really important thing.
But is that like buying friendship?
No, it isn't.
My wife and I had that conversation once.
No, for sure. But you got to, when you're collaborating with people that you trust and like. So one of my buddies comes to me and he says, let's give to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Association or something like that. And it's not a thing necessarily for me, but I like him. I like him, and I want to support a thing that he likes. The other thing is, you made a very important point. What gives more satisfaction? Throwing dollars out of a helicopter, $100 here, $100 there, or turn the whole dial on one person?
Yeah.
I have data that actually show that when you turn the dial on one whole person, this is the book of Sanhedrin in the Talmud.
Much more meaningful.
That says, in each person is the whole world. And when I figured that out, my wife actually called me on it. She said, let's do something big for one person. I said, like what? She said, let's adopt a baby. And I'm like, it's only a book. And so we did.
You did?
Wow. Did. That was a long time ago. Now she's 22. She's a second lieutenant in the U.S. Marine Corps.
And is that the most
She's a
satisfying
baby. It's the most amazing
experience of your life?
Game changer. Complete game changer. It was the most amazing thing, from an orphanage in China. It was the most amazing thing. So this is the key. Well, there's one left.
Okay, there's one more we're missing.
Save your money. Saving money brings enormous satisfaction.
Because you don't have to worry about things? It puts off the fear, the panic?
It's the future.
Yeah.
We want progress. We want progress. That's the reason that you shouldn't borrow money if you can avoid it. Consumer debt is idiocy for happiness.
Right.
You should never run a credit card balance if you can possibly avoid it. Some people I get it. That's what card debt is insane for happiness. It's horrible. The only kind of debt that doesn't lower your happiness is a mortgage.
Yeah.
Because that's actually more progress than rent.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make progress. And so debt is bad, is poison for happiness, and saving is actually really, really good for it. It's also intergenerational wealth.
Yeah, that you can take care of your family, you can take care of anybody who comes along if problems happen.
So that's how to do it.
That's pretty simple.
That's the formula.
That's pretty good.
Money and happiness.
Exactly right. And we need lots of happiness. It's the end of the year.
So what makes for the best Christmas gifts? I guess you go back to experiences, you go back to time with people.
That's the best thing to do. And when we figured that out, I started seeing the data and I tried to live it that way. I would go to my kids and I would say, what do you want that we can actually do? And I would go alone away with each one of my kids every year. When they were little, I strongly recommend that. One wanted to go hunting every year. Hunting. I'm from Seattle. Right? And now, he became a sniper in the Marines. So that was it was.
There was something useful there.
There was something really useful there for sure.
Yeah.
Another one wanted to come up to New York every year and go to the opera. He's really, really into the Metropolitan Opera. We'd go to the opera. We'd see operas every year. And my little girl, she always wanted to go to these amusement parks.
Right.
And so I would do one thing like that. That was a Christmas gift. Strong recommend, because that's number two.
That's experience. That's
experiences with people you love.
Arthur, thank you for the experience that we love, which is seeing you. So thank you.
I love it too. Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
You too.
Happy holidays.
We'll be right back. That is Squawk Pod for today, this day after Christmas 2025. Thanks for listening. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernan, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Please tune in weekday mornings on CNBC at 6 Eastern, or get the best of our TV show right into your ears when you follow Squawk Pod wherever you get your podcasts. We'll meet you right back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.